All right, so welcome back everyone. In this video, we are going to respond to repeated suspicious activity detected on multiple devices. Okay, first I'll take you through the incident response process step by step, and then I'll take you through the actual EDR tool on our Cisco XDR platform, and I'll show you how it is done practically. And if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please do it now. This boosts our confidence. All right, so now let's talk about the incident response process for this alert, which is repeated suspicious activity detected on multiple devices. As the name says, there is something suspicious or anomalous behavior happening into the network, right? And this can indicate an unusual or potentially malicious behavior have been observed across several devices within the network. So this suggests any possible coordinated activity across multiple devices, or that maybe multiple system may be compromised or affected by the similar threats at the same time. Okay, so now let's get some more information. We talked about the basic information just now, and also have an idea that this could also be possible because of any ransomware or any malware activity, or maybe any failed login attempt happening on multiple devices by some malicious files. Okay, now common indicators, there can be multiple common indicators. It can be maybe unauthorized unauthorized access attempt. Okay, if this has been happening on multiple devices, okay, then this can be a good indicators. If it is unusual process execution, then it can be another indicator as well. So i I guess you know it. When I say indicator, it can be IOC, indicator of compromise, which is different from observable, right? If you remember, I told you that observables are IOCs are the information about malicious IP address, domain, hash value with 100% confidence, okay, that they are malicious. But observable are the same information about domain name, IP address, hash value with probably less confidence value, maybe 50% or so. Okay, now these are all the indicators or indicators of compromise. Okay, now we can also have an high frequency login failure into the network. Okay, and it can be maybe unexpected network connections happening into the network as well, right? Across all the devices in the network, so that all of which are red flag for potentially malicious activity into the network, right? Now, what is the criticality of such incidents? So this is a high risk. Okay, remember, this is the high risk alert, and this alert is critical as it's the repeated activity on multiple devices indicates a coordinated attack or malware outbreak or ransomware spreading across multiple devices. Okay, this type of spread suggests that possibility of any broad compromise affecting the entire network, and there is a potential for rapid escalation as well if you not if you're not quickly investigated or contained. The activity can escalate to further compromise as well, maybe data exfiltration or full lateral movement within the network. All right, so now let's start with the first step, which is the preparation step. In the preparation step, we need to make sure we enable the endpoint and network logging. This is very, very important. You need to make sure you ensure logging for critical endpoints and network devices as well, network activity on the system. And this could be related to activities such as login attempt. You should have all those information and those logs coming in as well. For Windows, you usually get it by the sysmon related logs. For Linux, the syslog also covers all these types of log. You should also collect information like process starts, file access. This log should be forwarded to your SIM at the end, right? Your SIM solution, maybe Splunk or Sentinel or IBM QRadar, you know, and then, or maybe Elasticsearch, ELK stack. Next, we have to make sure we identify the key suspicious activity indicators into the network. We have to be ready before something would happen, and that's where a MITRE attack framework becomes very very helpful for us. Okay, so MITRE attack framework give us the makes help us prepare for the advanced threats. Okay, so we as a team, we have to train our incident response team to recognize the key indicators of compromise from MITRE attack framework. For example, in for such kind of alert, we can make sure if our network is ready for different attacks, right? For example, attacks 1078, this is for valid accounts. Okay, this techniques is used for valid accounts. So we need to see if we our detection tool like EDR, SIM solutions, or all the techniques that we are implementing, I mean all the solution or control that we are implementing, are we able to detect the attacker's technique? And this is the technique number T1078, which is valid account. There are few more, which is T1071, which is application layer protocol, to detect something happening on the application. That's where the next generation firewall or IPS IDS solution becomes very helpful. There's one more technique called 1087, which is account discovery. Okay, so we need to make sure if account discovery, we need to make sure if our detection tools are able to cover this techniques from attackers or not. Okay, these are few things that should be covered in the preparation step. Next, let's talk about our detection and analysis. In this, we need to make sure the moment we get the alert, we review the alert in detail, we analyze the alert to determine the specific activities detected and affected devices, associated accounts. We note any similarity in the IP address or timestamp or actions across the devices that may suggest any coordinated activity. Okay, next we need to make sure we perform some core we create any correlate we have to further investigate and run some correlated query on the Splunk or Splunk SIM solution as well. Or we possibly have to correlate different event logs as well, so we can use the SIM solution like Splunk and run such certain queries, focusing on any common patterns such as failed login, unusual process execution, or out of hours access. So this helps us to reveal connections between devices and identify any attack scope as well. Okay, next we have to analyze the traffic pattern. We need to investigate the network connection from different affected devices, and we can look for unusual external IP address, or maybe high volume traffic into the network. For let me note it down. So we can possibly look for high volume of traffic into the network. That can be further investigation. We can look for any unexpected protocol into the network, maybe any encapsulated protocol or tunnel protocol going across the network, or any suspicious activity connection as well, that could indicate any data exfiltration attempt or maybe command and control communications as well. Okay, next we have to check any process or service execution as well. Don't worry, I'll show you practically, but we have to review certain process execution detail on each affected devices. So let's say we have 4 affected devices, we have to get a single view on all the processes that are common among all the devices, especially any unexpected or uncommon process. So we can look for any malicious activity. For example, any command and scripting interpreter, which is covered in attack technique called 1059, I guess. And we can also look for any non-standard applications as well. Okay, that has been installed on the machine. Right. So next we need to investigate the user account activity as well. Like what activity has been performed with by using this user into the machine. So we need to analyze the activity associated with that user. If the user is sitting on the machine at this moment or not, we have to check which user account has been involved in this entire activity. We have to check for unusual logins as well onto the machine or any other machine. We have to look for any permission or privilege escalations as well, or maybe lateral movement as well into the system. Okay. And then, because this might also involve some external malicious IP address, so we can look for some cross maybe cross reference threat intelligence data. We can visit virus total, but in our EDR, virus total is already integrated, so it saves quite a lot of time. Okay. Next, once we have done our analysis, we should also make sure we cover some false positive as well, right? So while doing this analysis, we should also do this false positive activity in the initial triage itself, but I'm mentioning it later so that you should be prepared what should be looked at the very first place. Okay. So the first thing that you should really, that could be a false positive, is maybe authorized script or maybe maintenance tasks. So usually admin team or IT team tend to do this, so you can confirm if this PC belongs to any IT or this user belongs to any IT person. If it is a routine script, you can talk to the IT admin and understand if it's a maintenance task may getting executed across multiple devices, patch management or something, right? You can also look for, is there any VPN or remote work connection, employee logging into different location, and VPN may cause any unusual logging pattern that also triggered some alert as well, right? It could be a shared or service accounts as well. So commonly user accounts users I mean sorry commonly there are multiple service accounts as well, which works on multiple devices, can also generate the activity that may also flag a suspicious behavior due to frequent access patterns. Okay. So this is something which should be you should really address in the first place. Okay. Now let's talk about the containment. Now you have understood that this is a genuine alert, right? Because you have already covered the possibility of false positive. Now you know this is the genuine alert and we are compromised at this moment of time. First thing that you have to do is you have to isolate the affected devices from the network. You have to disconnect them from the network, and that capability is already there on the EDR tool. You can isolate the affected devices from the network to prevent any further compromise or lateral movement. Okay. Next, you can restrict or lock the compromised accounts. You can temporarily disable use any user account or service account linked to that activity. Okay. And you also should terminate the suspicious behavior and connections as well. So you can use the EDR tool or system activity or maybe task manager or process explorer. You can go to PSAUX onto the Linux, or go to task manager onto the our Windows machine and kill those affected process. Okay. That's the first thing that you have to do in the containment. And next, you have eradication. Sorry, you have the eradication step. Now in the eradication, basically you tend to first you make sure you remove the malicious artifacts into the network. You remove the malicious artifacts and persistence mechanism. So you basically search for a persistent mechanism like a startup activity. Okay. So let me tell you, in this behavior, you look for any startup task that has been created onto the machine, or maybe any scheduled task. Okay. Scheduled tasks that automatically run after a period of time, and maybe a registry key as well that has been created in the machine. So you make sure you search all those information and delete them quickly. Okay. And then you patch certain known vulnerability that might have caused this issue. So you apply patches to any known vulnerability that may have exploited. You can run the Qualys or Nessus scanner tool as well. Nessus as in Tenable software as well, or maybe from Rapid7 or maybe OpenVAS vulnerability scanning tool. Next, you need to make sure you reset the compromised credential. You reset the credential for any compromised attack to prevent further unauthorized access. You can also ask the user to reset it, but you can also do it as well as an admin. Okay. So once this is done, you have to go for the next step, which is recovery phase. Now, so recovery phase is where you are sure that everything is happened. So you conduct a full scan onto the machine. You run the compromise scan, comprehensive scans, the simple scan basically, and then get the detail about it. You can also run the full scan on the machine as well. You can then restore and verify the endpoint, and you verify the integrity of each affected machine. You can you can look for, if you can make sure if there's no is there is any still any possible malware artifacts, or if the machine is clean or not. You can restore the system from a clean backup if necessary, okay, which we tend to do it every time, okay. So you also need to monitor for any recurrence, where you can set the additional monitoring on previously affected devices and accounts as well. So you can fine tune sim alerts as well to capture the recurrence patterns as well onto the system. Once that is done, it's time for the report. So you conduct the post incident analysis, update detection rules onto the sim or EDR tools, to to cover such alerts in the future. Or if it is a false positive, you also make sure you fine tune your detection rules as well, or maybe correlation events as well, okay. Finally, communication and reporting. You make sure you notify to all the stakeholders, inform IT and security management, inform them about the findings, preventive steps taken to avoid similar incidents. And incident it also includes some recommendation for any required policy changes as well. And then you also make sure you document a detailed incident report. You can have some overview report, technical report, management report as well, and then you document them and share across with everyone. Or maybe you can go on to the group meeting and share those reports. So you have to make sure you record the incident detail, including the detection mechanism with the timestamp detail as well, right? So let's go to the our Cisco XDR and learn in detail practically. All right. So as you can see in the screen, you have this incident: repeated suspicious activity detected on multiple devices. And this is the description, which is AI generated, but it's helpful. Okay. And in the diagram, you can see there are around 10 IP addresses, 10 indicators that we have, which are related to this five devices. So these all devices are currently impacted, or there are repeated suspicious activity going on all those five devices, okay. And you can look at different processes which has been running on this machine, which is observable or indicators. You can come on the bottom, and yeah, over here you can find all the assets that are currently being impacted, and 197 observable has been observed, has been found, and nine indicators that you have on the machine, okay. And remember, indicators are with surety, observable can be many, okay. And next, let's go to the detection phase. In the detection, you can see everything, all the observable indicators, everything. So you can find the source of this detail: critical, high, medium, all the information, right? Next, let's come to the response section. This is where it starts with the identification. So you analyze the indicator, you identify the affected machine. So you have to make sure you follow all the checklists. So you can make sure, okay, I have done this. You can add a comment yourself that you have done this, you have done this, you have done this. And next, you can go to the containment. This is where you make sure you actually contain the problem in infected machine. So you actually look at the contain the indicator of compromise to stop the spread of malicious activity. You can contain or isolate the affected machine as well from the system. You can contain the incident or device. You can contain the IP addresses. You can block those IP addresses, file hashes, identify and affected vulnerabilities as well, or information about those vulnerability. Then you can work on eradication. That's where you mitigate the vulnerability, you remove the malicious content, you reimage the system. This is the best option whenever such thing happen, whenever you're sure that something really happened, and it's for surety that it is really an indicator of compromise with 100%. Okay. And next we have recovery phase. That's where you validate eradicated host. You run the scan, and you verify everything on the machine. You validate the reimage host, if it is backed up from the clean restoration point or not. And then you can close the incident. Then you have work log, and finally the report section. This is where you can edit the executive summary as well. You can write the executive summary, which is very comprehensive report that you can share with non technical or management team as well. And this is the entire incident summary report, which consists of incident summary with the timeline as well. As you can see, this is also an incident timeline, which consists of what happened on what device, what got connected, and what process got initiated as well. And yeah, so and you also have an option to edit this report at the end, right? All right, so this is all about reviewing the alerts on our Cisco XDR platform.